everyone, and welcome to our next session, Mobile Health Monitoring with Tableau 9. My name's Madeline Malmgren, and I'm a Business Intelligence and Analytics Consultant with Thorogood, and I work as part of our Tableau practice. So Tableau is a data visualization tool that empowers users by putting the data back into their control. They can connect to it and start visualizing it really easily with the desktop software, and then share it with their colleagues through the server offerings. It frees them from the structured reports that they may be used to in their everyday business life and gives them more control. This year, we're really proud to say that we were named EMEA Strategic Alliance Partner of the Year for 2014 with Tableau. We're so proud of this because it really represents how many enterprise customers we have helped to implement Tableau successfully throughout the company, through all different departments to gain real business value. Some of you who are familiar with Tableau may know that Tableau 9 was released in April this year, so it's been out a couple of months and includes some really, really interesting new features with the tool that are really going to improve the usability. Some of the ones that we're going to be covering today are the new Tableau mobile app, which has some really interesting new features. There's many more options for data preparation when connecting to data in Tableau, and also there's a new analytics pane. You can see a lot of other new features listed at the bottom there. Interestingly, the performance is always a huge topic when we talk to our customers about Tableau, so there's been huge improvements there, and definitely worth investigating some of those new features. I'd just like to do a quick poll now, see how many of you are users of Tableau at the moment. Just raise your hand. Okay, that's what I thought. I've got quite a few of you in here. And who of you in the room are already moving to Tableau 9? Okay, a couple less. So it does always take a few months for the new releases to filter through into enterprises. So probably about what I expected. Those of you who aren't familiar with Tableau, throughout the demos today, we will be focusing on the new features, but you should get a very good idea throughout those demonstrations as to how user-friendly Tableau is and how easy it is to connect to data and start visualizing it. So the theme for this morning has been the Internet of Things, so anything in your everyday life that's connecting data, anything with a sensor. About 2-3 months ago, I decided to sign up for a 10K run, and I'm absolutely terrible at running. I'm shocking at it. So my friends decided they'd buy me a Fitbit. So this is this band on my wrist, which I wear every single day, and it senses how many steps I take each day, how many calories I've burned, how many floors I've climbed, My favourite thing is it attaches to an app on my phone, which tells me when I'm running, how far I've run and what pace I'm going. So I've been using it for my training. There are lots of similar technologies. So you can see up here, there's the Fitbit up there. We've also got Apple Watch, Nike Fit, and a lot of your smartphones are probably actually monitoring the number of steps you take throughout the day. So what I've done for today is collect that data, stored it in an Excel file, downloaded it from the website, and it is actually the data that I've collected from the last 3 months, so don't judge me too much. When Andy told me I was going to be doing this presentation, and he said, "Oh, you're wearing a Fitbit. Oh, why don't you do it on that? That goes with the theme." I don't know what I was more scared about, standing up in front of all of you, or you seeing that the day before I'd done 500 steps, probably between the sofa and the fridge. So there will be a few gaps, but it is real data. Okay, so some of you may be thinking, "Oh, that sounds quite interesting. It's quite interesting for me to start visualizing that data, but what are the use cases?" So companies are already using data like this. So insurance companies are using data similar to this to monitor where you've got active customers and reducing their health insurance premiums. You'll have seen adverts on TV for motor insurance companies who are monitoring how well you drive by putting a little sensor into your car and reducing your insurance premiums that way. Pharmaceutical companies use a similar band like this to monitor your heart rate, monitor your blood pressure, and keep track of those clinical trials. So back to Trevor's point from earlier, this is quite interesting data, but it's just another data source that we can connect to, store anywhere. I'm storing it in Excel. We can store it in Hadoop, like we discussed earlier, and then connect to it with visualization tools like Tableau. Okay, so now I'm going to head over to a demonstration. I don't have a helper today, so I'll be doing the demonstration myself. And what I'm going to do is open up Tableau Desktop. So this is the tool from Tableau where we connect to our data and we start visualizing it. You'll see in the window here is quite blank because I haven't connected to my data yet. So to connect to that Excel sheet that I've stored my data in, I go to Data and New Data Source. Before I connect to that, just so you can see how many data sources are options to connect to in Tableau. So we've got Hadoop, which we were discussing earlier, the entire Microsoft stack, AWS Cloudera as well, so we can connect to the cloud, on-premise, and local Excel files. I'm going to select that Excel file now and click on my April data. I want to view my activities. And immediately, Tableau has recognised the table of data in that sheet. It's a very smart data engine. It's recognised where my column names are. So how many calories I've burned, how many steps I've taken. And it's also recognised the data types of that data as well. So previously, there weren't many other options to edit your data once you've connected it to it in Tableau. But now, I have a couple of issues with this data. So you'll see the last 4 columns, minutes sedentary down to minutes very active, are actually pivoted out data. But this is data that it's much more easy for me to use if I can pivot this round. In previous versions, you would have had to do this unpivoting in Excel before you collect to it in Tableau. With Tableau 9, we just select the columns, click on the drop-down and click on Pivot. And now this is in a much more usable format that I can connect to in Tableau. And it's done immediately in just one click. What I also may want to do is get rid of any redundant information that I've now got. So now I've pivoted my information. I've got some useless words kind of in that column that I've created. So I don't really need to see the words minutes and active here. So there's a couple of ways I can clean up that data. I can either add in some aliases for the data, or what's much quicker for me is to just split it. And I get the information I need. Tableau's recognised that that's the unique quantity in that column and has split it out for me. So I'll hide the rest of that column I don't need anymore and rename these two to my activity level. And the next column to my activity minutes. So now my data's ready to start visualising, and I'll go to my new tab. Once I'm here, I can use those unpivoted columns. So drag on activity level to my rows and those active minutes to the columns. The sum isn't really important to me, so I want to look at the average. And now I can see about how many minutes I spend at each of those activity levels throughout the day. You can see most of it is sedentary. But that is when I'm sitting in the office, when I'm asleep, or watching TV. But kind of quite a range of values there. So in 3 clicks, I've been able to get some information from that data that I couldn't when I was in a spreadsheet. Using the Show Me feature in Tableau, this isn't new, but it's a great way to find the right way to visualise your data and get the most value out of it. We can click around, explore the different options for those visualisations, and choose the one that tells the best story with the data. Okay, so that's connecting to data. We're now going to look at the analytics pane. So in true Blue Peter style, I've got a dashboard that I've created earlier. And this is what I use to monitor my Fitbit data. On the left-hand side, we've got some KPIs. And I've designed these so that they're very similar to actually what we saw in DataZone earlier in Henrietta's presentation. I've got the average number of calories I burn a day. What are my average steps per day? I know I want to be aiming for 10,000, so I'm a bit below. I've also got some spark lines, which I've added underneath there. You'll see a big spike here in April. This is the day I found out I was doing this presentation. That didn't last for very long. But as soon as I hover over these, I can get the details of that data rather than just seeing the trend. So see what date that was on and how many calories I burned. I did mention earlier the performance updates that have come in Tableau 9. We're not going to go into them too much, but one of them relates to the tooltips. As soon as I move through this visualization, you'll see that tooltip will update instantaneously. And that actually gives you an easier way of comparing your data rather than having to wait for that tooltip just for even a split second to update. Gives you a different view on the data. In the centre here, I've got some more details on how my activity level splits out. So how long do I spend fairly active and how many steps do I take during that time? And then at the bottom, a time series. One of the big features of Tableau is how interactive it is. So I can click on an activity level to focus in on that data and see those trends outside of the other activity levels. I can also drill down. So if I click on the 31st of March, I can see how those steps broke down over time. This is data from my iPhone, which I've collected and blended in. But just drilling down through that information doesn't really give me all the information I need. So I'm going to open up the tab for my scatter plot and do a bit more analysis on it. So if I click on the analytics pane, this is a completely new pane for Tableau 9. Any of you who used Tableau before will know that you could add reference lines and add average lines, but they were quite tricky to do. So if I just show you what the process would have been in Tableau 8, you right-click on an axis. It's not very obvious that that's what you want to do. You need to do to add this reference line. Click on Add Reference Line, and you've got this big wizard to go through. But it's not obvious that that's how you get to show those average information. Now with the analytics pane, I just drag and drop an average line. I can choose to apply it to a table, a pane, or a cell. In this case, the table is most logical, and where I want to apply it, but I'm going to apply it to the whole table. And as soon as I drag it, your average line appears. So it's really easy to start to do analytics with your data with Tableau without relying on complex statistical scripts like R. Once I have these average lines here, in previous versions, this average line would be fixed. But now, once I start to interact with my data, I can see how those averages change. So if I select lightly active, my average line jumps up immediately. But underneath, I still have the greyed out area of what my total average was, so I can see how it's changed. It's about double for my lightly active time, because this is probably when I'm walking, so I spend quite a lot of time walking in the day. Similarly, if I click very active, it's a lot lower, because this is probably when I'm going for a run, and the kind of 27 minutes in my head kind of makes sense of how long I'd usually run for. We can also edit those average lines very easily. So if I click on the average line, we can edit, format, or remove this average line just by clicking on it. But we can also change which average we use. I can change to view a minimum or a maximum, or look at a median, like I will now. And if you're not interested in that average line anymore, just drag it off, and it's gone. So you can have much more options to play around your data without having to go through those wizards. Another new feature of the analytics pane, you'll see quite a few things listed up the side. Hopefully you'll be able to read them. I realise the text is quite small. But a new feature is the improved forecasting. So let's go to my time series. And in the same way as before, I can drag on a forecast. I'm just going to take that off colour so we don't affect the colours. This hasn't given me the best forecast because there aren't too many patterns in the data, but you can see that it's very easy to drag and drop those forecasts on. And if I click on the pill that this is created from, I can change the forecast that I'm using here. So look at the prediction intervals or the trends. Once I'm happy with my dashboard, I can publish it so that I can view this on the go. There are 3 options for Tableau Server. What most of you will probably be familiar with is Tableau Server on-premise. So this is where you store your Tableau Server in-house, and you can connect to your enterprise data warehouse, as well as public data and locally stored data. There's also Tableau Public. This is generally used by bloggers and journalists, and they will create visualizations online and store them online so that they are publicly available, and they use publicly available data. What I'm going to be using today is Tableau Online. So this is the cloud-based offering from Tableau. This allows you to rent out space on the cloud from Tableau and utilize their server without needing an on-premise server. So yes, that's what I'll be using today, and this will be a Tableau server that all of Thorogood uses, so everyone publishes their Tableau workbooks up there. To do that, I'm not going to do it now just because of our internet connection, but it's just you click on Server and Publish, and then select Tableau Online. If we can go to the iPad now, please. Okay, so once I've published my dashboard to the cloud, I can now connect to it online with an internet browser, or I can connect to it through an iPad. So you can see here a full list of the different workbooks that have been published to Tableau Online, published by various colleagues of mine. And just to connect to my data, I just click on the thumbnail, and that will open up my Fitbit data. So once this opens up, you'll be able to see that it has exactly the same interactivity and functionality that we had on the desktop. So I can click on a certain area and drill down into my data. I can select activity levels to highlight certain areas of the data as well. But the really good new feature is being able to edit on the go. So if I now go up into the right-hand corner and select the Edit button, you'll see a very similar view to what we were seeing in Tableau desktop come up on the mobile. This has been available for a while on Tableau server, so without having a desktop license, if someone else had created or authored a dashboard and published it to the server, you would be able to go on and edit that if you had the permissions to. You can now do this on mobile as well. People aren't confined to having a laptop with them anymore. People are using Tableau much more on the mobile, so this is a really helpful update for a lot of people. So I've got my scatter plot, and I may decide, actually, today I'm not that interested in seeing my active steps. I want to see the calories burned. So when I open that up, I've got my full list of dimensions, measures, all of the different data sources I've been using, as well as the filters, and I can change the colour. But to do this now, all I'm going to do is drag on activity calories onto my columns and replace steps. And then immediately you've seen that data update. So you've got a live connection to your data through your mobile device. If I save that and click Done, I'm going to go back to my dashboard, but this is going to reload and have that new visualization available to me on the go. So some of you may be thinking, why on earth would I have an iPad with me when I'm on a run? This isn't really like the biggest use case for doing Tableau, using Tableau on a mobile. But put it into a case of a client we had recently. I built some Tableau dashboards for a consumer goods company, and they were for the field sales force. So these dashboards would be taken out by the field sales reps out into the field when they went and visited their store reps. They'd sit down in store and monitor their sales and their on-shelf availability with the store manager when they went on their visits. But when you have conversations with people, that dashboard that I built for them maybe didn't show absolutely everything they needed to answer that question that the store manager had. But now with Tableau 9, those field reps can now edit the data and say they want to have a look at the stock, change those dashboards on the go, and answer people's questions while they're there, rather than having to say, oh wait, I can find out that information for you, but I'll give it to you later when I can get onto my laptop. So a really interesting update there. Okay, so just going to go back to the slides. So those were just 3 of the new features in Tableau 9. So we looked at the new data preparation window, the analytics pane, and the new Tableau mobile app. But there are loads more new features that are definitely worth looking into. The level of detail calculations are going to really improve the range of calculations that you can create within Tableau without having to rely on building cubes and creating lots of calculations in your relational database. There's a new and improved server which has been completely rewritten for performance reasons and also for usability. It's much easier now to set the security options, and because it was quite hard to work things like that out in previous versions. The performance is improved dramatically. So now we have parallel querying rather than each query in a dashboard running one after the other. And there's improvements to the maps as well. We've got some events coming up soon. So we've got Tableau for Insurance and Tableau and Microsoft coming up in the next month. So if you'd like to see more of these new features, please do come along to those. There's details on the website. We've also got an insights page on the Thorogood website, which has loads of videos, and we've run a huge range of webcasts as well, which all the recordings are up there. If you have any questions, I'll be around at lunch. You'll probably catch me doing laps. I'm a bit low on my step count for the day. And also you can email me as well.